in the chat like he did, and we appreciate that.
Hey, while we're talking about filling drill grounds, right? So there's a tactic that I've been coaching our guys on, from a busted A perspective, right? So once you've filled your grounds and you can't fill them no more, and everyone says, "Hey, I'm going to go kill my troops." The reason behind that is you want to fill your hospitals to the brim as max as possible. So the method is you would kill your troops, send them to the hospital, but you will not heal them, right? Avoid pressing that plus button, right? Until you get to the point where your hospitals are maxed, right? Then you can start building new troops and start refilling your drill grounds, and at the same time, at that point, you can start healing your troops. Right? What will happen is that once you've got full drill grounds again, come Buster Day, you will have instant troop replenishment from your hospitals as you lose them through fighting on Buster Day. Right, so it's just an added bonus. It will not affect the capacity of your drill grounds. It's just instant troops. You know, I mean, if your hospitals are anywhere at a good level, you could have in reserve 6,000 troops just waiting there to be replenished into your drill grounds. So,
All right. We're good to go, Mark.
All right, cool. All right, let's talk a little bit then about battle reports. And there's kind of, two ways to look at it. I'm looking at a battle report to figure out what I need to work on in the future, right? Or I'm looking at a battle report to kind of figure out what's happening now because I'm working on it during an active battle. We're going to focus mostly on future improvement, reading a battle report to understand what you can do in the future, and maybe even like why you lost. Okay. So I'm going to pull up one here. This is one that I lost, I think. And in this case, this was a good example because this is also going to help us discuss the bottom. I think this is the one I had that when a victory is really lost. So once we can talk about what that means. So this guy only had 12 million power, and I had 14.4 million power. And so how did he beat me with that? First of all, for some reason I didn't have one of my heroes on here, so I didn't get my full bonus. But as we go through this a little bit, I mean, this is a situation where he's a 12 million, I'm 14 million, and he's ostensibly winning the battle, right? Well, let's talk about the long-term effects of a battle first. The first thing you look at is your troops, okay? The long-term effects of this is I killed more of his guys than he killed of mine. But because I technically lost, it killed some of my drill ground troops. And so we're going to come back to drill ground troops here in just a minute. But if I had slightly won this battle, then it's the other way around, right? He's going to be the one that has if he's the attacker. You're only losing on your drill ground if you're the attacker or if you're being attacked and you lose. So this is an interesting situation where I only lost 49 actual troops, but I lost another 658. And this is why when you go in with troops on your wall and somebody attacks you, you can get your drill grounds cleared out quickly if they're winning battles on you, because it's not how many they're killing here, it's how many they're killing here, right? You're losing 658 per hit. That's gonna to clean you out pretty quickly. So this is the first and main thing I look at about a battle report is because I want to know how my troops did. I mean, this guy had level 8 troops and 12 million power, and he still beat me. Part of that was because I didn't have Lucius on here. So let's kind of look at what else we might look at on the battle report. And RC, just jump right in here because you're better at reading these things than I am. First thing it does is it tells you a little bit about what you can do. And these are just guides that you might have. And these are, when we tell you to do things like put your defense heroes on the front line and things like that, a lot of those are coming from these types of guides. This is telling me I have a chip mismatch. All of us are probably in that situation right now, or most of us, because we don't have all aircraft or all tank chips. So we've mixed them together on one chip loadout. Last week we talked about chip loadouts. So I have tank and aircraft chips on my loadout right now because I don't have any aircraft chips to replace those tank chips. So it's telling me I have a chip mismatch and I can do better if I don't mismatch. Okay. When we look at heroes, this is where it's going to tell us kind of all about our hero strength. And there's some things in here that you can click on that can tell you a little bit more. So this is our individual hero power. And he's getting a bonus because he has 5 heroes of the same type, where I have only 4. Okay. The other thing that it doesn't show here is that we went through this earlier trying to find it. It doesn't show anywhere in here the fact that I get a bonus aircraft over tank bonus. It does not show that in the battle report, but that's something to think about. Is that you get a aircraft over tank or tank over missile or missile over aircraft bonus as well. When you look at your gear, it goes through the power of your gear and it goes through all of your heroes and kind of shows you where you're at. You can look at that to see, what are other people doing, especially if somebody beats you and they're really close in power. Well, you can say, well, how have they laid their gear out, or who's got gear in what situations where I don't. Do you have a big damage healer or a damage dealer or a big critical damage dealer? Like Kimberly is a huge energy damage dealer, right? Does she have the weapons or does somebody else have the weapons, right? When you look at your skills, these are where you're upgrading your skills. And we talked a little bit about skills last week. I focus on the skills that'll buff other players. There's not a lot of that in the air. Only Lucius has that on the air side, right? But on your tank side, for you guys that are doing tanks, that's Marshall, that's Murphy, have skills that will boost other players' stats, especially Marshall. And then as we keep going here, because I know we're kind of a little short on time. And then when we look at our army, this is our unit level stuff, and the rest of our non-hero power. So drone tech, we've talked a little bit about that last week. We're not going to get into heavy details on what those are, but decoration power is a big deal. I told you guys last week that decoration is one of the biggest things that you can do to increase your power. I've got him quite outdone here with decoration power. And then your individual unit power, you increase your unit power through special forces, mostly, and then your march size is the number of units that you take. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what Wall of Honor does. Wall of Honor is a straight bonus based not on how you've upgraded, not on the individual troops. This is for what all your Wall of Honor heroes get. This is what RC and I were researching a little bit earlier today, and these are my other bonuses. So we'll jump over to Wall of Honor in just a minute. The drone is just straight up. It tells me what the skill chips look like. He's got all tank skill chips. And as you notice here, I had 2 aircraft skill chips and a tank at that time, right? The combat boost level of our skill chip and the stars that we have, the average number of stars that we have across the chips show here. And these are all of the different components I have versus the components he has. So, I mean, I to some extent, I'm just reading you this, but I'm just bringing this to your attention that this is how you look and see where you are against somebody else, especially if they're similar power and they're beating you. You can figure out where their numbers are higher than yours. You notice most of my numbers are higher than his, even though I only had 4 heroes. A big part of this is because I had Lucius out of it, right? And then your tech, your individual tech that you've done, your special forces obviously is a big deal for your army power, and your decoration power here. It details out why you get your decoration power. And then we come to the part that we talked about last week that's so important, and that's morale. Okay. This is a little bit weird to read because this is an average morale. So maybe he had some 7s and some 8s in his troop, or maybe he had some 9s and I had some 9s and some 8s in my troop or something like that. Your morale is applied per troop level. So you can click on the individual morale, and this will say that for these troops, he was getting a 2.5% morale bonus. For these troops, I was getting a 20% morale bonus. So you can look at each one and see what your morale is doing to your attack. Okay? Or, I'm sorry, to your damage. And then let's talk a little bit about Wall of Honor. So when we go to Wall of Honor, there are some specific things that everybody thinks of, and quite frankly, I just learned this today. RC and I and Duck were just working through this, and Roe, we're working through this today. And we got to looking at this and noticed that on your wall, regardless of whether or not, like for instance, I've got Mason here, I've got 2 boosts for tank heroes. Okay. And we say that because this guy's on the wall, we get HP for all heroes 20. I'm getting 20.4 at this point. We say, well, how do we increase that? Because these all go up, and we've only paid attention to these going up when you get to 50 or when you get to 100, when you get to 150, each they go up. But what we noticed today is that this number here goes up each time you promote at this level, and it goes up for every hero. So I'm gonna look at this. It's at 20.4 right now. I go to the aircraft. These are at 20.4, but watch what happens when I boost DVA by 10 shards. She's at 7 now instead of 6. Still not getting an aircraft bonus because she's not at 50 yet, but my HP for all heroes went up to 20.6. So every time you upgrade one of these on any of them, they all go up, and that's what they mean by the Wall of Honor bonus. So if I use these, it's 20.6 right now. It went to 20.7. Purple gave me less than gold would. So that's one of the things that you can look at. What that means off your battle report goes directly back to here. RC, did you want to jump in before we talked a little bit more about True Plus?
No, that's what I was saying. We just figured that out. And sometimes I think we noticed on the other server we were looking at, sometimes it'll take 2 clicks of that upgrade, depending what levels certain things are at before you'll see it show up.
Yeah,
Hey, can I jump in real quick?
sure.
Yeah.
If you head over to your army,
Okay. On the battle report, or
yeah, a lot of times I get questions a lot of why did I lose this? Because you might have more power as far as overall, but it actually is pretty important if you scroll up to the research, the tech, or scroll down to research, and then hit that drop down. It says combat details.
Yep.
On tech, not that one. Well, that too, but right
I'm
there,
looking
combat.
for some reason I'm not seeing it. There we go.
Drop down. On says combat details underneath all that stuff.
There we go.
It'll not only tell you where you're lacking and the other person has got the advantage on you, but if you click on the 9%
Shows you.
and you hit research, it'll actually show you where to go to boost, maybe get to their level or see where you slacked and maybe give you some kind of general direction if you're lost on where to grow.
That's just an amazing point. That's probably the first point we should have brought out on this whole lesson. So thank you for bringing that up. That's the best tip of the whole day right there. I had known you could click on some of these, but I hadn't went and clicked on this to take you straight to the research. That's an amazing tip.
So go ahead and hit it and it'll show you where. And so, because sometimes it'll tell you that, but you can get the generalization from there to know that either that one it's already maxed or he's got the second one maxed out and you don't. So that kind of just gives you a general idea. So
Right. That's an amazing tip. Thank you for that. So I would play around on these because a lot of people don't drill into these and see that you can click on more than one thing. Certainly, I forgot to bring that up today. I kind of
you could do it for
forgot about
deco.
it, actually.
You could do it for deco a little bit, so as well.
Yeah. So this is showing you what you're getting for your decorations. So if I wanted to get more critical damage, I guess I can't click on that. It won't let me do it. Won't let you drill in on them, but it'll at least show you where it's coming from, right?
Right. So then when you go to you can at least kind of know, like, because critical damage is very important as far as like what Skylar can do and Stepman.
Yep. Kim is big on critical too. So what that means is that you want to get like the torch relay guy and the 2025 sign. Both of them I think are crit. Let me double check that. So like
Yeah,
the torch relay guy.
there's a couple of them. I think the turkey and the dragon or something like that as well.
I was wrong.
I'm
It's
not mistaken.
Yeah. So you can look through these yourselves and look for the ones that give you critical damage. I thought it was that one, but it's not. Those are the ones that give you doubles early. All right. The other thing to look at is whether or not as a troop is killed or injured on this thing. Because a lot of times, when you look at your battle, your mail, and it tells you, you killed 4,000 troops or whatever that might be. Like let's just grab one of these. So this one says I killed 4,200 troops. Well, when we look at that what that means is that my thing fought them 3 times. And if you look at the first one, on the first one, what that means is that all of their troops that were in the battle were at least injured. It doesn't mean they were really killed. Okay? So if you add up 78 and 937 and 548 in this battle, and then you go over to the next battle and you add up 69 and 837 and 841 or 491, and you add all of those things together, that's where it's coming up with the so-called how many you've killed in your mail. But most of those they can recover because they were just injured or they went to the hospital. It means they can't fight, they moved on, but you didn't actually kill that many. So just kind of let everybody know the difference in what those two things mean. Basically, they didn't survive the actual battle itself. These ones that died because their hospital was full and because their drill ground, and the ones we killed in the drill grounds, those troops are gone. Yeah, you're not going to recover those in a hospital. But the rest of these are not really killed. Okay. Any questions there?
You also know which one to buff up to lose less.
You mean yeah, that's a good point. You mean in the drill grounds? Or just in general with the ones that get killed instead of hospital? You do that under development is one of the places.
Yeah.
It's at the very bottom of development. There's probably some other places too that you may know of that I'm not thinking of.
No, it's just under development.
Bottom here. This one decreases your casualty rate when you're fighting people.
So you can max that out, and it's very hard to oppose that as far as when PvP, unless they come out with a tank mastery or something or a siege to siege. But if you max that out, you can actually just manage your hospital, and you actually won't lose a lot of. You actually won't get. In mine, I won't like my fights. If somebody hits me, I lose. I never get any killed unless they super max out their PvP casualty rate.
That's awesome.
So as long as
this is a great one to research. I'm not high enough as I should be on this one. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Keep going.
You're good. No, you're good. I was just saying that it's just important. It's just a very important when a lot of people overlook that because one of the things I do in the very beginning as well is max out all the research stuff, speed ups, and then try to do that very bottom one, even if you fight or don't fight, just because like a lot of times you'll get snuffed by somebody and you'll see that you'll get 0 killed. They might lose 500, and as long as you manage your hospitals correctly, where you know how to take a breath and you know how to take a random TP, get out of there, and heal all your troops, you could right back into the fight versus just letting yourself get hit, overfilling your hospitals, and then you lose everything.
So that makes a great segue into my last point about battle reports. When is a victory really a loss? Especially, or maybe it's the other way around. But a lot of times you'll see this in Desert Storm. You say, why is this guy keeping hitting me? He's losing. I'm winning the battle. If this is maxed out for him, and he's losing, all of his troops are moving from that status of survival to hospital, right? If we go back to a battle report to bring up the point that he was just making there, if we went into a battle report here and showed this one of the statistics, right? So I lost this thing, but I lost 0 troops. RC won the battle, but he lost 218 troops. This happened to be in the 3v3, but if this was a real battle, and I go look at the battle report and this is what it says, I want him to keep attacking me all day long. I don't want to pour it out of there because I'm winning. I just got to go heal my troops. He's actually losing troops. So if you think about when is a victory really a loss or a loss really a victory, if this was an actual battle, this would be a loss for RC even though it's telling him it's a victory. Is that fair, RC?
Yes. Outside of arena, yes.
Yeah. And you see that a lot in Desert Storm. Somebody just keeps attacking, and you wonder why. But you go do a little research, and you're losing more troops than they are because theirs are mostly going to the hospital. And in an attack for them, right? They're not losing any drill ground troops. So even if it says you win, and you're not losing drill ground troops, if you go back, you're losing more actual troops than they do. And that's why they keep hitting you, is because they're paying attention to those numbers. And that's just like what he said, your crit rate. All right. So we're a little over time, but I still wanted to have any more questions on battle reports before I move on to one more topic. All right. I want to show you guys something that I just found the other day, and I think it's a little bit new. But people have said, how do I know how many resources, or how do I know how much gold or shards it takes to do the next thing? This is really a complicated and powerful tool. It's called the Last War Tutorial Copilot. You can Google that. You can go to this link. I can put the link in the chat, whatever. But this is a Copilot. And it can get really complex. I'm going to start with heroes because we've been talking about heroes. So if you're sitting on, currently your heroes are at 125 perhaps, and you're trying to figure out what it takes to get them to 130, which is the next level, right? Based on where you are in the target range. This will tell you that you need 445 million XP for each hero to do that. If you're trying to get them from, he's a 1 and 1/5 star, and you want to know how many it takes you to get him to 4 stars, it'll tell you that you need 440 UR shards. And then it also converts, if you're past the point where you've upgraded Mason or Violet or Scarlet to gold, which happens later in the game, you can check that, and it'll tell you how many of those it should be of the purple shards. I mean, this is really powerful. On your exclusive weapons, which we don't have yet, your skill levels, how many, if you're at current skill level 5 on something and you want to get to 20, so you need 56,400 skill medals. So you can kind of plan things out by this. This is okay. You say, well, that's pretty simple math. You could go figure that out. You sure could. But let's look at the buildings. The resource requirements, this is really crazy powerful. So let's just say you're at level 6 right now, and you're trying to get to 27. A lot of our folks are about that stage in the game, right? So let's say we're going to go from 26 to 27. Then you can go in and tell it everything else that's going to go with it. So like to your point earlier, did that include the buffs on the verses? You can go say, well, when I do it, I'm going to have the Secretary of Development. So I can click that. And I'm going to get 50% construction for that. And then I'm going to say that under research, for our alliance and stuff, I've got extra research percent, and we can put in what that percentage is. I've got how many free minutes do I get? And that's construction. This is research. How many free minutes do you have? And all of those things. Then you can go say your mandatory requirements. So this, based on everything that I answered up here, and you can put less or more of these things in here. When you get down to the mandatory requirements, for me to get to 26 to 27, I'm going to need a tech center and a wall, both at 26. So it's going to tell me I need this much iron, this much food, this much gold, and this much time. These are the amount of time it takes with the buffs, right? And then if I don't want to do one of these, I can take it out and it'll correct. But I know that I need exactly 1.28 billion and 1.01 billion and 366 million of these resources, and a total of 66 days to go straight from 26 to 27 just through the minimum path, right? If I want other buildings that I want to do as a part of that, and I say that I also want to get my hospital up to that, I can add the custom building and what level I want to build it to. Let's just say I want it to be to 26 as well before I go. And this thing just figures it all out for you. It just adds them all in here, and you got to add it separately and remove them. Now you're at 26. So let's just say I want to have my hospital at 26 as well. Then I need this many resources to get to 27 in this many days. And so I just wanted to show you guys that, just kind of a little bonus thing that we didn't talk about we were going to show today. This is crazy powerful. I'm just showing you the very basic, but you can really configure this thing out and know exactly how many resources and exactly how many speed up days that you need to do whatever you're going to do, or you can do it with the heroes too and see all of the stuff that you need. So I just wanted to throw that in for you guys today. I haven't even looked at this on the gorilla stuff. That's all season 3, so we don't care about that right now.
Will
Any
you,
questions?
you'll leave the link for everybody in general chat so they can take a look at it?
Sure.
Awesome.
We'll do that right now.
Thank you.
Any questions or anything we want to follow up on? I know I went a little bit over. I tried to talk a little faster today. So at least we're not in an hour like we were last week.
Thank you, Mark.
Sure.
These are fabulous. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. That was really well done.
If there's no questions, I'll post this link in both the general chat of our guest area, and I'll also put it in the 1426 area general chat too. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Good evening, everybody.
So no man shorts involved.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.